2025 has definitely been a year of all time for me personally. I just dropped out of college for the second time. I'm still living at my grandmother's house. I just unlocked my third hemorrhoid, and I can't stop buying tech products to try and get me off of this tragedy of a device. My biggest goal this year has actually been to just stop using this thing as much as I could, and I can proudly say that this has had the least amount of grip on me personally this past year than any other time in my life, and that's specifically because of the tech products that I bought and used in 2025. And I know it's super trendy right now to be like, oh, you're still using your phone? As much as I crave to not be a sheep, I just agree with the general consensus that this thing is just the worst. But thankfully, a lot of tech still exists in this world that's fun to use and isn't just trying to suck the life out of everything you might enjoy. I really want to show you the products and categories that I have been obsessing about in 2025 and that I will carry on with me into 2026. Okay, you all know that I'm an absolute fiend for gaming handhelds, and most of you are also pretty big fans of gaming handhelds because, I mean, how can you not love this? This is just, they're just beautiful, man. It really felt like companies were pushing the boundaries way more this year than ever before, and I think it's because we're all getting kind of tired of the typical, you know, small, pocketable, vertical handheld, and now we're getting a bunch of crazy, wacky releases with different silhouettes and different form factors. Or we're getting very familiar releases with extreme amounts of power packed into them to give us the best emulation experience we could have asked for. I'm gonna run through my personal top 5 handhelds that I've been using this year that didn't just release this year, but just in general. These are the 5 devices that I just keep going back to. Coming in at number 5, we've got the classic, the OG, the retro, the beautiful DSi XL. Now, this thing is not new, but I just continuously come back to the DSi XL no matter what. This thing is like my comfort food, but in a handheld. I'm a DS kid, so I do have a lot of nostalgia for original DS hardware, but even with that being said, I still think the DSi XL is one of the best purchases that you can make if you want to dabble into the gaming handheld space. Dual IPS panels that I always praise and will continue to do so until I die. I think this is legitimately one of the best things to play on if you want original hardware that's nostalgic, retro, and still gives you a banging experience. And for whatever reason, I always gravitate towards the DSi XL whenever things in my life are going particularly bad. I don't know if you guys have like specific handhelds or maybe original hardware or just nostalgic things that you kind of fall back to when you get really stressed out. Like my dog had to get stomach surgery a while ago, and I found myself just playing a bunch of retro Pokemon on an original DSi XL, and I think the slower pace of it, not having emulation settings or anything overcomplicated to dive into, it's just simple, straightforward, a bit slower paced, and exactly what you need whenever things in your life kind of feel chaotic. Coming in at number 4, we've got something that did release this year, and that was the RG477M or the RG476H. These devices are very interesting because I think most people either hate them and think they're overpriced, or they love them and think they're one of the best experiences that you can get for specifically retro gaming in a handheld. Like with everything else, I'm kind of a fence sitter. I can see both sides of this argument. I think that these with the massive 4x3, I think it's what, a 4.7 inch screen is, I mean, this looks so good with all retro systems that come in a natively 4x3 aspect ratio, and it's the biggest one we've seen in this space, which makes it kind of hard to not ooh and ah at it whenever you see it in person. I can also see though why people are very hesitant, at least on the 477M side. It's so expensive and you're paying a hefty price tag to get something that's already in like Thor territory or higher end devices. So it's very hard to like choose the 477M over any other options in the pricing category. But the 476H, now this is kind of a beauty. It's really found the sweet spot between prioritizing the retro handheld experience while giving you a price tag that is somewhat affordable, good buttons, a good control scheme and layout. It's pocketable, and of course that same slim 4.7-inch 4x3 screen is a beauty. I've really enjoyed playing PS1 specifically on this thing, but the problem is that the 476H doesn't let me run all of my fancy shaders, so I will lean to the 477M if I want the most visually pleasing experience, because this bad boy is not the most powerful chipset. Anbernic are really good at like just giving us enough to be happy about, but still having a lot of like things to gripe about so that we can get another release, and I'm gonna do that right now. So just don't hate me. Anbernic, if you're watching, just listen to me for a second, okay? Take the 476H and get rid of the all-glass front, then replace these ugly, horrible Switch-style keycaps on the thumbsticks. On the back, try and add a little bit of slight ergonomic grips to make things more comfortable. Somehow find a way to get this giant 4x3 panel to be OLED. And then lastly, if we could get a CPU performance boost on this device so we could fly through all of GameCube and PS2, I'd be happy.
Until consumerism takes over, and then I need a new shiny thing in my hands.
All right, number 3 here, we've got a very basic pick here, the Retroid Pocket Classic. Now this is a handheld that, like many other within the space, it kind of comes to my mind when I think of what a retro handheld like stereotypically is. It's a Game Boy, and it's a vertical handheld, and it just looks kind of plain and very basic. But right here, the Pocket Classic, it just does all of that at such a high tier, high quality level that I can't help but put it on this list. The OLED screen for retro games is so nice. The bigger form factor is really comfortable in my hands, although it's not as pocketable. And then finally, Retroid consistently do a great job with the controls, and I always do enjoy their buttons and their D-pad, so long as they're not too loud and clicky, which these ones in my experience aren't bad. In my head, like I said, this is the mascot of the retro handheld scene, besides maybe the Miu Mini or something like the Trim UI Brick, which I was going to put the Trim UI Brick in place of this because I think the Brick is so good still. And I haven't gotten my hands on the Hammer model, which is like the all metal version, but the Trim UI Brick, dude, it's still so good. So I think in this area where it's small, pocketable, the retro handheld scene has nailed this form factor for so long, and I truly believe we are eating good in all forms of this little small vertical handheld. All right, at number 2, I've got a sweet talk Gabe Newell yet again. Gabe, listen to me, Gabe. I don't know you personally, but whoever is in charge of like making the Steam Deck, you need to raise their salary. The Steam Deck, even 2 years after the OLED release, it's never a bad purchase, genuinely. Like, I've seen so many comments where they're like, should I get a Steam Deck or should I get blank? And anytime the Steam Deck is compared to one other product, it doesn't matter what it is. I always will pick the Steam Deck for you to buy if you don't already own one, because it is the freaking handheld, man. And I wish that I could say the same about the Switch 2, but holy crap, the Switch 2 has just been like the biggest disappointment to me for this entire year of 2025. And as a Nintendo fanboy and shill, that like, it pains me to say this, because I was so obsessed about the Switch 2 for the first time ever. I was looking at rumors, I was anticipating different things, I was checking Reddit every single day to hear news about the Switch 2. Like, I was invested, and then it came out, and I really enjoyed it on my first impressions. You can go back and watch that video. I was hyped. I thought this was going to be a great addition to Switch hardware, and then I ended up just never playing it. Probably the biggest reason why I'm so annoyed to this day is the fact that I got like a defective left joystick still. Like, it makes noises, it rubs against the hardware itself. It's giving me issues, and I don't know, I'm just annoyed, man. The Switch 2, with the way that they've treated some certain games, and $70 and $80 games are just so hard to recommend to anybody whenever you could get a Steam Deck, and whenever there's a Steam sale. Holy crap, dude. You walk into a Steam sale with $70 and you're rich, bro. You could get like 5-6 games. Meanwhile, you take that same $70 and go to the eShop. You're getting one game. and it's probably not even going to have the DLC. And the number one spot, I hate to say it, I hate to be the guy who's agreeing with everybody else because I want to be hipster and be kind of cool and unique, but the Einthor is genuinely it is otherworldly, man. It has stepped into a new dimension for gaming handhelds, and I'm so excited still about the effect that this dual screen device has had on me and the community. Dual OLED screens, multitasking is now an option. The performance here for retro games is flawless. You throw almost any retro system on it. Actually, I think every single retro system that has software optimized well enough for emulation is going to run like as smooth as butter on the Einthor, and you've got this entire package coming in as something that looks like a modern day 3DS that bites on my nostalgia. How can I not compliment this thing? Steam games are becoming more and more powerful on this thing, and I hit a point where I got really tired of talking about the Einthor, and then I'm just like circling back now where I'm getting more hyped again because I've seen, new menu and home launchers for this thing get released. I've seen other people start to develop like dual screen games for it. I'm getting more hyped again for the Einthor, and it's been out for a while at this point. This whole year has just been so fun for gaming handhelds and has been a nice distraction from the chaos of the world. We've got AI and just, oh man, I'm not going to get into anything. I'm trying to keep this channel very happy and positive, and I want it to be a safe space. So let's just indulge for a little bit here because we got some great gaming handhelds, some great ROM hack releases from Pokemon that I've been playing on these things. I just made a video on that. And on top of all of this, now with the new Valve hardware, we might be getting SteamOS thrown on all of these ARM-based devices, which is going to be sick. I made a whole video on that if you're interested in me diving more down into this path. But man, guys, what a year we had truly for gaming handhelds, and I am very excited about the future. All right, so after handhelds, my next big obsession has been digital audio players. I'm not an audiophile by any means. I love music, but when it comes to how I engage with music, I didn't really have a preference. That is until the past couple of years. Streaming services like Spotify, Apple Music, and anything that you essentially just pay a subscription for has just, I don't know, it's kind of ruined a lot of the experience for me, which is why I started out in 2025 buying an iPod Classic. This is still the king for nostalgia and simplicity when it comes to digital audio players, and whenever you pick up an iPod that it was just engineered with so much care and attention to detail because it still works so long as it has a functioning battery flawlessly even in modern times. And the modding scene for iPods specifically has absolutely erupted. I have seen some of the craziest looking iPods just browsing the internet, and I am kind of starting to get a very big urge to dive deep down into this hardware modding rabbit hole of iPods. Interestingly enough, just like the retro handheld scene, there's other companies that are kind of stepping in here and trying to release modern products that scratch that nostalgic itch, but within the digital audio player space, and one of those companies is FiO. Or is it FiO, or I don't know how to pronounce this company's name. Either way, they dabble in a lot of nostalgia bait. If you look at the audio players that they sell, so many of them have this classic retro looking aesthetic, but a lot of modern internals. I bought the Snow Sky Echo Mini, and I think this is a great alternative to people who don't want to mod classic iPod hardware because it kind of just gives you everything it needs to straight out the box. You can buy this thing on Amazon, and it's a really dope alternative to somebody who doesn't want to use their smartphone for all of their music and kind of wants to revert back to a dedicated audio player. The Mini was super cool, but I found myself gravitating more towards the iPod Classic if I was going to go for a digital audio player, and that's why I'm excited to mod these things in the future. But I'm just done with music streaming services at this point. I don't have an Apple Music subscription. I don't have a Spotify subscription. I literally just sit in my car and listen to nothing most of the time, which makes me sound like a psychopath, but I don't know, I've been kind of enjoying it lately. Okay, now it's time for me to talk about the hobby that I'm going to act like I do a lot when in reality I barely ever do it, and that is reading. I've been using the Books Palma here to try and establish a solid reading habit because I can't get into reading, but I love e-ink technology so much that at least I was able to finish like maybe 2 to 3 books this year, which is just... it's so sad, but I can thank this little device for at least getting me that far, you know? I mean, I don't know, man. I just really like e-ink devices, okay? I also got sent on a couple products from Big Me. They sent me one of their smartphones that is an e-ink smartphone, which actually, on paper, and, you know, no pun intended, this thing does look really good, and I enjoyed the idea of it. Like, can we please get some more stuff like this? An e-ink screen is, in my opinion, the key to fighting any social media habits, any dopamine detoxes that you want to go through. I think that all smartphones in the future genuinely should be e-ink. Unfortunately, the one that Big Me sent me, this thing just like was broken. It wouldn't even charge, and I could never really recommend it to anybody. I just really believe in the future of e-ink devices, and I think that if this scene develops more and more, we're gonna see it everywhere. I've also gotten a lot of videos recommended to me on YouTube for where people are building their own e-ink calendar. I don't know if you guys have seen those things, but those are really fun and interesting to watch develop. And I think this whole space, at least in 2026, is something that I'm going to try to prioritize because I truly believe in the future of technology that is useful and not distracting, being an e-ink screen. If you're going to do anything in the e-ink space, just probably avoid Kindles altogether, man. I mean, these things they don't even let you like own the books. It's locked down like crazy. I don't think I'll ever buy a Kindle ever again. But nothing I've mentioned here today has added nearly as much of a sentimental value on my life as owning a digital camera. I've talked about this before, and I know it's super trendy. A lot of this stuff is trendy, but genuinely carrying a W830, which is just an old Sony Digicam, in my pocket has dramatically impacted the memories and the photos that I have taken in my life. If you're somebody who wishes they took more photos of important events, I would make a huge argument that it's most likely an issue of the smartphone and not your inability to take photos. Carrying this thing around has been so motivating to take more photos of important events in my life because not only do I love the way that the photos turn out, and I think they have a much more aesthetic and just genuine feel to them, but it's much more fun to take the photos than it is snapping just a regular picture with my smartphone. And I just use this camera in full auto mode, bro. Like if you're 85 years old, you could figure out a way to take a photo on this thing with the way that I've set it up. I just take it out, I hear the noises, I take a photo, I always have flash on, and I am so grateful to my younger self a year ago for buying this thing because now I've got all of these photos. I've also noticed people are much more willing to take photos when I have a Digicam on me. I think it's because, you know, it's a bit novel and it's unique and it's different, so they're more engaged in the photo itself. The system I've set up is I have a Google Drive folder called EDC Camera, and then every like couple of months I'll take the SD card out of my camera and then I'll just dump all of the photos into the Google Drive, and then all of a sudden I've got this literal portal into all of my memories that is very fun to look at, very fun to scroll through. It doesn't take up any data or storage on my actual phone, and all of the photos have a charm to them. The look of them, the feel of them, it's all hitting the right areas. And I'm telling you, of all the devices on this list, even the handhelds that I obsess about, this has been my favorite purchase of 2025. I really do just crave intentional tech at this point in my life, and using the things that I purchase when they have one main use has been way more satisfying and enjoyable than just like, hey, I've got this one little rectangle that can do everything. On a personal note, this year has also just been super weird for me. I'm like reflecting on where I was a year ago, and like I just started this channel and I didn't really know what I was doing. I still have no idea what I'm doing with like anything in my life, but I'm kind of fumbling my way through it and just hoping that 2026 somehow turns out decent. For people who watch these videos and sit around with me and hang out, I genuinely thank you so much. It is actively changing my life and allowing me to dive even deeper into the things that I'm passionate about. And I'm just extremely grateful. So thank you so much. And if there's any way that I can make these videos better, or there's anything you want to see me cover, or there's certain aspects of the videos that you don't like, I just only want to improve here. And I aim to serve the people who are actually watching the videos with high quality stuff. But that's about it as we head into the next year. Let's just see how consumerism is going to lead us all down a spiraling disaster in 2026.
Violent, that's what we show, not private. Better keep to yourself, stay silent. If it come to the wealth, get violent. Start riots, violent. This why my money, my outlet. Only show my color.